Hello and welcome. I'm not sure if you had a chance to actually look at my TikTok or YouTube short regarding how ChatGPT built my gaming PC, but I kind of briefly went over of the specs of what it actually presented to me and how I made the use that information to make my final decision with that. Now, this video is actually going to go over in detail of what specs ChatGPT actually gave to me within my budget alongside with any tweaks that I've done, which was obviously done in a matter of fact. I did know a person from my high school days that I was able to assist me on actually building this PC. In fact, it's a shop that I know here in Toronto, Canada. So wanted to obviously present that to you and showcase of what decisions I made. Now, in front of you, I'm going to be presenting on the screen right now of all the specs that ChatGPT actually gave to me within my budget. My budget was roughly going to be about $1,000. That's what I was looking for. However, my main goal and objective for my gaming PC was not to have the best setup right now, but to also future proof me for other upgrades that I would do along the way. And I know that I'm going to be doing future upgrades, but in the meantime, I wanted to have a setup that I was able to play all the games that I wanted to play. Now, what basically happened is that, I presented all the information to the person that I was going to be working with at that store that I was mentioning earlier. I said, here are the specs that I want to build with the PC. And he pointed out something wrong with the actual graphics card that ChatGPT spat out. He said that a lot of people have been experiencing a lot of issues with this graphics card, a lot of crashes, a lot of glitches, stuff like that. Did do research on that, and in fact, it did come out. Sorry, that there were indeed issues with it. So he presented two options. One was the NVIDIA GeForce 5050 or the NVIDIA G or Asus GeForce 5060, um, and it was literally like $100 difference. So I picked the 5060, 8 gigabytes, and I was happy with that. So that was the final setup. Everything else was going to be the same with ChatGPT's recommendation. So I'm going to go one by one with the specs. So first thing I wanted to present is, of course, the motherboard. That's the base of all gaming PCs. So this one is actually the B650M um, gaming plus Wi-Fi motherboard. Um, when I was actually looking at motherboards, and actually when ChatGPT gave me this recommendation, I asked ChatGPT, "Is this going to be future proof? Would I be able to upgrade to AMD Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9, whatnot?" And it basically recommended that this is going to be the best option for you in that case. So I went with that. So pretty much simple as that. That was the option number one I went with. So I selected that as my motherboard. And I think this was about, I believe, 150 $200, I believe, for this motherboard. Anyways, so that's that. Second thing I wanted to talk about was the processor itself. I went with the AMD Ryzen 5 7600X processor. It's 6 core, 12 thread processor, 5.3 gigahertz max boost. Literally, it says all the definitions right there behind the box. I know you can't see; it's kind of blurred out, but this was obviously falling under my budget. So literally, I said I'm gonna go with this one. Going on my motherboard, I obviously can upgrade to the Ryzen 7 or the Ryzen 9. So I was happy with that, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go with this one, and that was that. So yeah. Next one up I wanted to talk about is the SSD drive or solid state drive. I got 1 terabyte. I know a lot of people are going to be saying that, hey, you're going to definitely need one more than 1 terabyte. At that time, I was like more like I'm strictly using this for gaming. I don't plan to obviously download a lot of games and just leave them. If I don't play it, I'm the type of person that likes to delete um and not take up space. I think 1 terabyte would be enough for me for the time being. But I know, and I'm feeling this as well. A lot of people are saying that you're gonna definitely need to upgrade this. So this was what, 70, $80 for this? So that's what I got. I got this 1 terabyte as my SSD drive. Next one is the actual memory. So ChatGPT recommended this 16 gigabytes, two pieces of DDR5 memory, a total of um, 32 gigabytes. And basically, it was spat this out to me, and I was like, okay, whatever this case is, and that's what I got with this one. So now that I mentioned about the memory, there's one thing I wanted to actually mention to you. If you kind of backtrack a little bit, I mentioned about the AMD Ryzen 5. I mentioned about the motherboard, and I mentioned about this just now. Now, when I ordered this separately, as in when I was going on Canada Computers or other websites, and I was adding this together, it was coming up to like $600-700 separately. However, there was a promotion where if I got the processor, the RAM, and the motherboard itself together as a bundle, it was on sale for $500. So I was so happy when I heard about this. And the guy that I was working with that was building my PC said that, hey, listen, you know what? You need to get onto this. This is actually a great deal bundle that's happening right now. Take advantage of this. I was like, listen, do it. Obviously, like that's gonna save me at least 100 to 150 bucks right there, $200. So I said, do it. And there you go. I got 3 pieces of hardware for $500. Another piece I wanted to mention, of course, was the power supply. Over here, I got P650G power supply by Gigabyte. Pretty self-explanatory. You need this to power up the whole rig itself. This was recommended to me, so I said, you know what, I'm going to take this for sure. Um, and yeah, pretty much simple as that. Last but not least, definitely not least, is the video card. Now, this video card, as I mentioned, it's actually was not the first choice. I think it was the Radeon. I forgot what it was called, but it was definitely not this choice. And I'm glad that when I mentioned it to the person that was actually building my computer, he said that, you know what, I recommend not to go with that one. I want to recommend two other options for you. One is going to be slightly cheaper by like $100. The other one is slightly better, and in fact, it would be recommended based upon the games and what you want to do with it. So I said, you know what, $100 is not gonna bite me, so this is what it is. I got this one, um, and pretty much self-explanatory, of what I wanted to do with it, so that's what I got. So yeah, that literally brings it to the end of that. I mean, right now, the machine is running pretty well. I am actually enjoying it right now. I gotta still do some tests and whatnot, but it is running pretty smoothly. No glitches, no issues whatsoever so far, but only time will tell. But for now, I'm very, very happy, very, very satisfied. And in fact, the budget came to the end about 1390 taxes in with installation, everything from that person that I worked with at the computer store. So I was really happy with that. I did not need to go through hassle, headache, time wasting building a PC. No disrespect to anybody, but like I don't really have time on my hands to like do that because I have a daughter, baby that I gotta watch and stuff like that. I'm a new father, so that's the thing. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed me going through the specs of what was brought to me, and that's it. Pretty much that's what it is. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. Thank you. Bye bye.